What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two Knicks Chicks. I'm your girl, Lady, and the Chef, and I'm joined by my co-host today.
Diva Lock 21. What's good?
We haven't been on in a while, but we're back. And good thing is that the Knicks have now won three in a row, so that's a plus sign that they're back in the winning column. And as we know, as you know, the upcoming games for the rest of this month in February are going to be some interesting games that the Knicks are going to be playing and that they're going to have a nice little challenge. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Knicks are going to do for this upcoming season itself. But listen, this is what I wanted to see from the Knicks. I wanted to see the Knicks be challenged and see how they react to some of the teams that they should be beating and some that, are the more challenging teams. The Knicks have won three in a row. Like I said, they beat Atlanta Hawks 119 to 110. Then they went on to beat Brooklyn. That was a close game, and the Knicks barely won that game,
Yeah.
95 to 99. And then they just won yesterday against the Sacramento Kings, 143 to 120. Before we even get into the Atlanta and Brooklyn game, I will say that the Kings game, I didn't really like that game by the Knicks. I thought the defense was trash. I thought until they found a way to pull away in the fourth. I know, I'll let you speak, but I just didn't, me personally, I didn't really like the game. I thought that the Knicks were like, I don't know, like, I guess the first three quarters I was watching them play. And I think for me, a lot of times when I'm watching the Knicks play, because I know what they can do offensively, I'm more so focused on what they're doing defensively or not doing rather. So I was watching them on the defensive end and I was like, it was a lot of like late reactions and pickups defensively. There was a lot of lags. And then in the fourth quarter, they were able to pick it up and turn it around. I don't know if Tibbs was like, listen, pick up the defense. It's looking real sloppy. But I don't know. I just felt like that game was very I'm happy to see the Knicks do what they did and they were able to pull away. I will say that I'm happy to see both OG Anunoby and Mikal both go off together and produce offensively for the team. So that was nice to see. And, you have productions, of course, from Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. But I don't know. I thought that was just a nice, solid win from the Knicks, yes. But that game was pretty close up until at some point in the fourth quarter.
Now, here's where that's why my mouth was like, oh, this game was reminiscent of that Denver Nuggets game. I don't know, maybe it's because the score wise, but I love what I saw out there. Aside from that 19-point, gap that they gave up, that lead that they gave up, where they let Sacramento crawl in. I love what I saw out there. Maybe because OG, you know, you always say like when he has these monster games, like, oh, this is why he gets paid the big bucks. So
Right.
he and it was like they took turns. OG was on fire. Then it was like, okay, Mikal, boom, he's in the groove, and Josh now it's his turn, and we didn't have to rely on Cat, and even Brunson. It's like it was good to see these guys have the game that they had. Like how they call them the wing stop. They had 60 points between the two of them, and now when you throw in Josh, that's 80 points.
Right.
So, like that's what I saw from it. Yeah, they had that little defensive collapse, and let's face it, I'm resigned that the Knicks defense, and they say offense win games, but defense win championships. I want them to prove the naysayers wrong because we know their defense is not up there, is not stellar.
Right.
They're getting there, but I don't know. I just maybe because they won, and not just that. Now I'm gonna throw another thing. Sacramento was hot when they came in.
Hmm.
They were 10-2, so their new coach have them buying into the system and having them believe in which they should. So
Right.
prior to them losing to the Knicks, you know, and what Denver, I think I forgot what team they lost to. They were on a 7-game win streak.
Right.
So I mean, their defense is they're up there. So I that's what I took from it. That's why I love this game. That win, you know. So, but you saw, and you should see it differently, as you should, you know. But man, this was a great win, and you know, hopefully it can continue to stack these wins and pile them up.
Yeah, I was impressed with the 23-point lead win, excuse me, but in that they were able to figure out a way to tighten up in the fourth quarter. I just think for me, like I look at, like I said, I look at games that the Knicks play and, like the Brooklyn game. And I already called it with the Brooklyn game because I said this happens when we play Brooklyn. When we
Yeah,
play Detroit, the score tends to be very close. The Knicks, I don't know, it seems like they found someone to match their energy.
yeah,
And then with Atlanta, I'm happy the Knicks were able to redeem themselves against Atlanta, not just because it's the Hawks and it's Trey and we don't really care for him, but I think if you're going to have a team beat you, you have to figure out a way to beat them that next matchup. And I like that the Knicks were able to do that. And they've seemed to be able to do that for the most part so far this season. But, like I said, overall, I'm happy that we're back in the win column. I think this coming week with the games that the Knicks have on the schedule is going to be a nice little, round of games this week to see how the Knicks respond and how they're able to close out on games. But throughout the 3-game win streak, is there any in particular plays or schemes that you've seen or player that stood out for you?
Well, I'm gonna go. I can go as far as the Atlanta game, and that was Martin Luther King, but just overall Brunson, he had a huge game. We all know opposing teams always tend to put that bigger defender on Brunson. So, and that's like happened last season. He finds a way
Mhm.
where like I'm gonna beat you the next game, and so just him getting the better, I guess, of Dyson Daniels and overall McCall, he held Trey down. There was a cat. He didn't play defense, so there was like some defensive stops where they forced Trey into a bunch of turnovers, and that resulted in points. So that was I love that game. Um, the Brooklyn game, and like you said, like why? Brooklyn seems to give the Knicks. I think out of all teams in the NBA, I don't know what it is. We could say Detroit, Atlanta, Brooklyn seems to give the Knicks the most trouble.
Mhm.
Maybe because they're crosstown rivals, and you know, all teams believe that they're the better team and they could
Right.
win. But it's just something with Brooklyn, man. Like they just can't like put him, blow him away, put him out there misery. Don't give him no chance. Don't even think like, oh, you thought you like no chance. But Brooklyn seems to always get that glimmer of hope, and they just come back and they tie it. They take the lead. Now it's a back and forth, and like they got to figure that out with Brooklyn. But I for me, between the Atlanta and yesterday's game, and I would say yesterday because of just how they were just sharing the ball, 40 assists. So like, I know you definitely gonna go over the stats, but I thought that yesterday's game, man, like I really loved that when it was like I said, it was reminiscent to that maybe because of score wise that Denver Nuggets game, but just seeing, how these guys they were able to like take turns and just sharing the ball, 40 assists. That says a lot for your team.
Right.
That means that ball is moving, you know, and you finding an open man, and you're not playing this selfish ball. You're playing team ball. So I think that was, what stood out for me.
Yeah, I think also with the Knicks, they had a nice break. So that
Well,
helped them going into that Sacramento game, which was beneficial. And, Josh Hart jokingly told Alan Hahn, he said, oh, Tibbs didn't call no practice. He allowed us to rest so all the minute police could be quiet. Um, but listen, if they're not worried and, they're okay with playing the minutes, then cool. Josh is basically telling everybody, be quiet, mind your business. We're not complaining.
exactly.
So stop counting and clocking how many minutes our coach is playing us. It's all good over here. So, okay, cool. I just think that some of us, it's not necessarily that we're trying to dig and reach as far as questioning Tibbs individually playing players however many minutes. I think it's more so like, yo, is that really sustainable when you look at it when it comes to the end of the season? Because from playing so many minutes, now you end up, God forbid, a player gets hurt, they get injured. So I think that's more where it falls along the lines of, you know, I think fans and Knicks fans basically questioning like why Tibbs will play guys a lot of minutes. And I know for me, that's where I look at it. My standpoint from it, it's not necessarily like we already know Tibbs does that, but that's just how, you know, the cookie crumbles when it comes to that. So, you know, he let it be known like, listen, stop worried about how many minutes we're playing over here, which is a-okay. But like I said, the Knicks did come in with fresh legs. They look really refreshed. I just like the overall energy, the way they were playing against Sacramento. They looked like they needed the rest, to be honest. And I just thought it was a really solid game by the Knicks overall, just the way guys were locked in. I just didn't, like I said, and I'm gonna stand by what I said. I just wasn't crazy about the defense. You know, you allow Malik Monk to have 31 points. Sabonis had 25. He had a triple double too, Sabonis. It wasn't just Josh Hart. Josh Hart wasn't the only one with a triple double. It was also Sabonis, who for some reason I thought Towns did a really bad job guarding Sabonis. I didn't like his defense on him. And to be honest, Cat looks like he's still bothered by his thumb injury because he struggled from three since that thumb injury. And I don't know, he just seems a step too slow, which again, I know he's not going to give you what Mitchell Robinson could give you defensively. But I just thought Sabonis just had an easy ride to the basket, a lot of easy baskets, a lot of easy layups, easy dunks. And the Knicks just seem like, and a lot of times, I don't know, I guess because when I look at the Knicks when they're playing defense in the paint, it just seems like Towns is the lone wolf who has to figure it out by himself in the paint. And I think we talked about this before. It would be nice if you see like OG get down
Yeah.
there and help out, and you don't really see that. And also just seeing other wings and guards going in there and try to snag a rebound at times. So, you know, but it is what it is. The Knicks overall, Josh Hart had another triple double, 20 points, 11 assists, 18 rebounds. OG Anunoby had a really nice game. He had 20 points in the first half. He finished with 33 points, 4 assists. Towns played 28 minutes, had 18 points, 15 rebounds. Jalen Brunson had 25 points, 11 assists. Mikal Bridges had 27 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds. Precious Achiuwa played 18 minutes, had 4 points, 5 rebounds. And then Deuce played 17 with 4 points. Landry Shamet he was 3 for 3 from the 3-point line, had 9 points, played 13 minutes. And then you had Cam Payne with 10 minutes, 3 points. And then stat wise, the Knicks, they were 49% from the field goal. They were 47% at 17 for 36 from the 3-point line. They were 22 for 23 from the free throw line. Now that's what I'm talking about. Because for some reason, the Knicks have been like a little up and down from the free throw line this season. But at 95%, I'll take it. Total rebounds, the Knicks did out rebound the Kings 53-38. The Knicks did have 40 assists, so that shows I really love the movement, the ball movement I saw by the Knicks. They did have 9 steals, only 11 turnovers, and they outscored the Kings in the points in the paint, 58 points to 48. So I did think it was a solid game. And again, I do like the way the Knicks were able to turn it around in the fourth quarter. So I'm not going to be too down on them. I just think that, again, my biggest issue with this team, this roster, is the defense. But somehow they found a way to hold the Kings to only 20 points in the fourth quarter. The Knicks scored 32. So, you know.
Listen here, like I said, if we're counting on the Knicks for defense, I don't think that's gonna. I mean, but you see it some games, and in some games you like, because you know, even offensively, you see where they could, they can have 130 points, 145, and the Raptors 130. So you see games where they offensively they're clicking on all cylinders, and then
Right.
you see where defensively they have those collapse. You know, last season it was like I said, it used to be the third quarter, but they always seem to have a collapse. It don't matter if it's the third, the second.
Mhm.
You know, they could be blowing the team out the water, but somehow that team is able to crawl back in, and now you down by two. Now you got to go on this mini run. You know, so just you know they're just not there defensively. You know, they're there offensively, but I'm not counting. And we know Cat. You like we say, he's not this defensive stopper. You know, so what do you expect from him? I mean, he's just not that guy defensively for me anyway.
Right.
Honestly, he's gonna light it up. Yeah, he's kind of struggling because I think ain't no think that thumb that is definitely hindering him or whatever. He's probably overthinking it and could be just the release. And he's just probably trying to play through it, as opposed to just opt for surgery. Now you definitely, won't be back, or you may be back in time for the playoffs. And so he's needed, if we could get 15, 20 points from him, then so be it. I'll take it, as opposed to him, you know, um, sitting on the bench.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think we have to wait and see with that and just hope that he can continue. He will turn it around, but just that he stays healthy, because that's the last thing that we need, is for guys to be going down, being that we had such an issue last year with the whole man down situation.
Um, you touched on something. I just want to bring something up. You touched on that 3 day rest, right?
Hmm.
And they said it was helpful, um, but that you're not going to get those that often, you
Right.
know.
It's a
So
professional
it's
league.
like, yeah, like
I say that all the time. Like you're gonna get back to backs.
yes.
Plenty of
So
games.
yeah, you got that 3 day now you refresh, but now let's see how you respond. Now you play tomorrow now,
Right.
and Grizzlies is no joke. These guys, they're in sync, they're clicking. So I just think that they can't focus on that three. If anything, then you should definitely have some fresh legs. You
Right.
know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think they have enough to work with that Tibbs can utilize the roster how he needs to. Are they missing a piece or two or maybe three? Yeah. But
Yeah.
you have enough to work with. But at the same time, it's a professional league. This is how it is when you play professional sports. You
Yep.
have to be prepared that, some weeks you're gonna have back-to-back games. Sometimes you won't have a rest for a while. So I think that a lot of guys from many teams in the league are probably looking forward to the All-Star break to be able to have that break for sure, Josh Hart included. Like he already said, a lot of people felt like, oh, he should have been an all-star, but he's like, yeah, that's all well and good. It's an honor, but that's not for me. Like, I'm not an all-star type of guy. I want to like be on the beach somewhere on a vacation. And I respect that. I'm just the glue guy, the cleanup guy, and that's what I'm going out there to do. And that's all, that's all she wrote. So I respect him saying that. And listen, I think Josh Hart doesn't get enough praise as he does. I think that this season for sure he's getting more, he's being spoken about more for what he's doing and the effort that he brings and what he's doing to this team. But I think his focus is more so on just winning. Like
Winning.
not, yeah, I got a triple double, yeah, I got a double double. Like that's all well and good, but what good is that if we're not winning? So his focus is actually in the right spot. It should be focused, your focus should be on continue to get better, but stacking up these wins at the same time. So, I like that that's where his mind space, his head space is at. And speaking of the All Star, the Knicks got two All Star starters for the first time since Walt Clyde Frazier and Earl Monroe, and that speaks volumes. I think what I wanted to ask you, because I was thinking about this, and I was like, we were going to talk about it. Why do you think last year, when it came to the All Star voting, fans voted Julius, and there wasn't enough for Jalen last year, versus this year Towns, who's been an all-star in an all-star game for many years and been voted in. But this was the first year in his career that Towns has gotten the highest amount of votes. And then Jalen got voted in. Do you think this came from a space of Brunson being overlooked, like with the All-Star game as well as the Olympics, and just being overlooked?
Oh, for this year compared to last year.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think because most people, yeah, we saw what he did last year, but it's like, is it a fluke,
Mhm.
or but we know what he even did in Dallas, and and that was one of the reasons, he know, it's like he knew he know his worth, he know what he can do. We saw it, but it's like, and as fans, well, yeah, of course, we feel he belongs there. He deserved to be there, but it's not just contingent upon fans.
Mhm.
If it was up to the fans, then he would. I guess he wouldn't have got in the manner that he did last year, as opposed to this year. So I
Right.
think, if the voting board, and it, you gotta realize sports is the sportscasters vote them in, people like, so I guess it was, you know they they saw it last year, but I guess they didn't believe, that he could sustain this, and he's like, oh, it's just a fluke or whatever.
But is that coming from because he was playing alongside Luca, or is that because he was on the Knicks and the Knicks are
The
considered
Knicks,
a laughing? Okay.
definitely the Knicks, and like with Randall, he's he's a powerhouse, and we saw what he did, even before Brunson came. So I think that's why he got voted in the manner that he did, because, like you said, before Brunson came, he was balling. So it's like he didn't need Brunson to get in. He could get in on his own merit, and they saw, like, again, prior to what Brunson, before he came, what Randall did for the franchise. And so I think that's why it was an easy shoo-in for him. Now you reverse the roles, and the team he's on, um, you know, he wasn't even a mention, you
Yeah.
know. So he did, because he's not the focal point there. Like before Brunson came, he was the focal point on the Knicks. So, and we saw what he did, and what, with RJ quickly. So, and now the Timberwolves, it's like he's an afterthought, and it's not good over there for him. That situation is not a good look for him, and so I think that's probably why, Brunson wasn't like sought after last season as opposed to this year.
Right. Yeah. I think it's definitely Brunson's one of those players that I think you have to start putting some more respect on his name and realizing what this guy can do. And I think, like Josh Hart, Brunson's headspace is there as well, as far as like, I'm trying to get this team to the next level. Like, I'm worried about winning. And I don't think he's necessarily like, he seems very humbled and grateful to be voted in as an all-star starter and just an all-star period. But I think he's more so like, this is cool. I'll have a little fun, but I'm really worried about at the end of the day, like the team that I'm on. So I think that was pretty dope. And I also read that Brunson broke Carmelo Anthony's record to the quickest to reach 5,000 points. So Brunson did it in 190 games, and the record was held by Melo in 191 games. So
Oh, wow.
that right there speaks volumes as well. And
Yeah.
what Brunson is doing here. And I think Brunson's going to continue to get better, just as we saw Randall get better.
Yeah.
And we've seen that like same tone here on the Knicks. Shout out to Queen. I was listening to her show that she had on Thursday with Ajay. Shout out to Ajay and Jeff. And she was talking about how a lot of players, and we talked about this too, when they come to the Knicks, they tend to excel and do better. For the most part, most players do.
Yeah.
And we've seen that with how Randall was able to get better. And I believe that's going to happen with Jalen, he's going to continue to get better and excel here on this team as well. Um, and I think he's going to get better with finding that balance of taking games as they come to him and realizing when he needs to go off and provide for this team, and then being better at facilitating using a pick and roll, being more aggressive and vocal on the court when he's, orchestrating the offense. So I think that like he's going to get better and finding that better balance where we won't have to feel like as fans, like, oh, it was a little bit too much ISO in that game. And I wanted him to do a little less of that and a little less of the one-on-one because, to be honest, like when it comes to the ISO, I'm a little triggered sometimes because we had that with Melo and then we had that at times also with Randall. And I think that sometimes that was an Achilles heel for the Knicks where it was too much one-on-one with the star player. And it's like the Knicks are better when they move the ball. They're a lot better when they move. And most teams are. When you have that unselfish play and unselfish basketball offensively, you're a lot better. And this Knicks team has proved that they can be really good when they're unselfish and just make the extra pass. So I want to see Brunson, and I know we will just get better at, getting those assist numbers even up more than what they are a game and, finding guys. Because I will say, I like the way Josh Hart finds guys on the floor because they're moving. Mikal moves so well on the floor. Him and OG somehow, it's like if I'm the coach on the opposing team, I'm like, yo, you don't see him right there? How do you keep letting him get under the basket? For the two of them, OG and Mikal, they somehow they move to the basket. And I've been saying this, I want to see Deuce do that more. Deuce is sometimes he's parked somewhere, and I'm like, yo, you and Shamit move to the cut to the basket.
Yeah.
Let's stop always trying to go for the mid-range jump in the three and cut to the basket. It creates movement and flow. And there's this, it's a better movement offensively when we have the ball. And now you have more options because you're confusing the defense. They're having to work. You're making them get tired. Like, play smarter.
Yeah, they have to react to you,
Right. So I really like the fact that Josh is just finding guys, whether it's Precious, whether it's OG, whether it's whoever he's finding on the floor. And I like what I'm seeing from there. What I saw from Shamit in the last game, I think he's gonna have to realize, unfortunately, on this team, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm saying unfortunate from a coach's standpoint. I think he's realizing he has to get his own. There's not going to really be plays made out for you as good of a shooter that he is. And you have to just take it. Take your shots. Be aggressive. I like what I see from him defensively, but I think offensively, I thought we were going to see a little bit more from him. And I think that he's kind of been, I don't know. It seems like maybe he thought coming here, there was going to be a little bit more of a setup for him, not per se just particularly for him, but him being a shooter, that it would be more like, but I think he's realizing, okay, I got to catch and shoot, maybe create a quick little bit of space and then get my shots up. So I need him to do that more when he's out there, because when I watch, I see he's getting the time. Tibbs has been giving him the minutes, but he's going to have to put them shots up. Put your shots up and drive continue to drive, cut to the basket, but he's gonna have to put those shots up.
Yeah, agreed.
So, we'll see what happens with that. My next segment is long, so let me shout out to the chat. You guys are always here rocking with us at a 4 o'clock time. Love it. Shout out to Nostalgic Nick. He said 2 Knicks chicks. Shout out to Just Knicks. Salute to you. Shout out to Hit Him Up NYNJ. He said, salute ladies, y'all watching Philly, Washington. You watching that, Diva?
No, the football, no, I'm gonna put it on though. I could catch it later, with YouTube.
Yeah, shout out to YouTube TV. You could go rewatch shows and games. That's pretty dope. Rondu1973, salute to you. Jay Boogie, he said, what's up, my Knicks family? What's up, Diva? Doing it with the Eagles colors on. Please, please, they live respectfully. Like that, hit the like button. Salute. 3 capital S's. Salute, J Boogie. I hope all is well with you and your family. Hit him up. NYNJ said, it's time to give Jay Josh Hart his flowers. Yeah, I agree. I
Sure.
agree. I really like what I'm seeing from what he's doing on his team. And we saw it when Josh came here. He seems to also have found a home here in New York, you know. So I think Josh is one of those players that I feel like he can be silly, but he does what he needs to do on the floor, you know. So it's like, you know, some players sometimes it's like you being a little too silly and goofy and you play too much, but when you on the floor, it's like, come on, stop being silly all the time. And then when you get on the floor, it doesn't, you know, there's what are you doing? So Wonder Woman always showing love as well. So good afternoon, Lady and Diva. Salute to you. Yeah, the game was fluid. That's what the Knicks need more. They're a lot more effective when there's that fluidity on the floor with them. Hit him up. NYNJ said, I guess we can all agree Mitch staying this season. He said, posted on his IG story. He's not going anywhere. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Mitch. That's my next segment as far as trade talk and rumors. Cat is still a little injured for sure. I'm a little worried about Deuce at the deadline. Yeah, I don't know. I think while the Knicks have a good deal with Deuce, you never know because anything is possible and teams will want Deuce. That's the main reason why the Knicks won't necessarily want to give him up. Teams are going to want him in whatever package the Knicks puts forth. Would you advise Cat to keep playing or get the surgery now, be out for a month and get ready for a playoff run? I mean, I think it depends on how bad that thumb is.
Or how long he'll be out.
Right. That's another part of the right that you
Yeah.
have to ask. How long will he be out? Right. Because if
This-
he's going to be out too long and then he comes back and he's rusty and then, you know, I don't know. I don't know if that would be a good idea. But he seems to be like he can, you know, play through it. So I don't know. I think that's the question now. If he re-injures it, then that's gonna suck, and he's probably medical staff is probably gonna advise him to get the surgery
yeah.
on the thumb. You know. Edward Brown salute said Deuce hasn't been right since coming back from injury. No, he
Yeah.
hasn't. He's been real quiet. Deuce seems like you know when you getting over a cold and your energy's only at like about 65% and you
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
fighting. That's what Deuce is giving me. Like he ain't at 100 yet. He at about 60, 65. He can give you maybe 70, 75 running up and down with the effort, but he's just not there. He's not there yet.
Yeah, for
Precious
sure.
playing well on defense. Absolutely. I like what I'm seeing from Precious. I really like what I'm seeing from Precious. Like he don't have to necessarily give us the 10, 12 points a game, but it's the little things that he does that doesn't show up on a stat sheet.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
may show up on some of the replays, but I really like the defensive stops, you know, the screens that he's setting, the being patient, the being a decoy in the paint, which is allowing us to get the ball outside of the key to other guys. I really like what I'm seeing. Sometimes he is a little in the way when Brunson or other guys are driving in the paint. So he has to, I guess it's like he's still camping around there because I guess maybe if they miss to get a rebound. I know Mitch does that as well. But I really like what I'm seeing from Precious Achua. Edward Brown said, I think he will get it together, but it was nice to see Shamit hit some shots. Yeah. I think he just has to go after his and take it. You know, Shamit has to just be more aggressive, put the pedal to the metal, and just take his shots,
Yeah.
at
Because
least on the 16.
yeah, because offensively, like you said, there's no plays being ran for him. So
Right,
you know.
right, exactly. Salute to Paula Bonner, always showing love as well. Said a
Mhm.
lot better, more assists, more points, better team. Yeah, absolutely. The Knicks team to be, and I think that's also like the goal amongst everybody on this Knicks team, like the roster, is we have to figure out how to be a better unit and get better as the season goes on, you know? So listen, the Knicks record is looking really well so far at the top of the season. They're still sitting in third. I just don't want them to get comfortable and complacent and don't get lax. You know, get better, be more aggressive, get more gritty, and continue to win games. ISO is not a problem if the player unguardable. MJ Kobe. Yeah, but we don't have an MJ or Kobe, as you put. You know, I think yeah, if you have players like that, it's cool. But I think sometimes ISO, if you do it too much, it can hurt because now the other four defenders they're just camping out while that guy is doing his thing. I could catch my breath because you want to go ISO and figure out what you're doing. So um, yeah, Tibbs put Cap back in the game up 20 last night with. Yeah, I don't understand that.
Yeah,
He should have sat him down. First of all, he sat for a while at one point because he was stuck at. I don't remember how many minutes he was at, and I was like, okay, well maybe he's just gonna sit him for the rest of the game. All of a sudden, I see him back in the game. Why? I don't understand that.
that's your
Tibbs,
boy Tibbs.
Aj, salute. He said salute to Knicks chicks. Lonnie Meek, salute, always joining us as well. Says salute. The ball moves more when Josh plays point forward. Now that JV has been chosen as an all-star, as a starter on the All-Stars, will they be less ISO by Brunson? Um, I do agree that the ball moves a lot better when Josh plays point forward for sure. I don't know if there's going to be less ISO by Brunson because I'm not saying that there won't be. I'm saying that I truly don't know. And the reason why I say that is because it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. I think Brunson still has to figure out um, how to balance some games playing ISO ball at times, and then at times being a better facilitator, you know, kicking the ball out, finding guys. He did that well. And there was a sequence where Mikel drove the ball down, kicked it out to the left side of the side of the court. Brunson was at that side, kind of almost at the shortest end of the 3-point line. And then Brunson did it maybe 2 quarters later, drove the ball down. He drove really deep into the paint and then kicked the ball out and found Mikel just camping out. And Mikel was able to, they both were able to knock down the three. But I think just doing stuff like that, like I feel comfortable with Brunson driving him because he's aggressive enough that he's gonna put the ball up. You know, a lot of guys, unfortunately, especially when they come to the Knicks, they'll rather kick the ball out when they're right near the basket and kick the ball up. But Brunson doesn't do that. But I think that I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell for the ISO ball if Brunson's going to do less of that. But I think that it has to be less of it. But he has to pick his battles as far as reading the game, reading what's being given to him and to the team, and deciding, okay, this game I need to go off. My team needs me. I got to get us back in it. And then other games where I need to get other guys involved and not feel like I need to play hero ball, aka ISO ball, when it's just not needed.
Yeah, because we seen it where he do it, and where he feel like he has to carry the team on his shoulders, and instead of just being a facilitator. And I think like the outcome would result in W. You know, sometimes he do that where, and to me, I think it costs them the game because it's like, where's your trust in your teammates?
Right.
So yeah, that's a hard one. I think he, you know, when they're losing, and I think when he goes into that ISO where he feel like he has to carry the team, that's not good.
Yeah, it's just he did that. The first time I seen Brunson do that was when we played last year in the round one of the playoffs against Philly. And it was one of the games that we had lost. And Brunson, for some reason, he brought the ball up like 3, 4 times in a row. Could have been 5 times in a row. And he didn't even pass the ball to anybody.
Oh yeah,
Brunson was like, I'm a dude. I
change
was like,
his
yo,
trust.
I'm yelling at the screen. I said, yo, there's 4 other guys. He was like, you know what he reminded me of? Like when you got a kid and they're like a little bit more advanced in a sport and they're just like deep down inside, they're so mad that they're losing. And it's like they're blacked out because they think that if they do everything, they're gonna get. That's what it looked like watching him. I said, "Yo, dude, we got another game to play. It ain't like it's do or die." But I like, I liked what I saw him doing that because I was like, okay, it shows that like he's trying. You know what I mean? He was trying everything in his power, getting back. Remember, he was sacrificing his body. He was, you know, doing all the little things. But I was like you said, where's the trust? And I think it going off of what you just said is true. Like, I can see he trusts guys on the floor, but like, okay, utilize it more. And like I was saying earlier, like, you capitalize on that pick and roll. That could be deadly against a lot of other teams if you utilize it, as well as guys cutting, you know, and to the lane, cutting in the lane. So the Knicks have a bad habit of running away from what works, and I want to see them stay consistent. And that's one of the things I think as fans we all can agree on, is that we want to see more consistency with this team. So, you know, we'll see. Shout out to Chop Low. He said hit that like button. You heard him. Hit the like button. Show some love. Hit the like button. It gets us in the algorithm so people can find us. And those of you who haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We'll give you a minute to subscribe. Subscribe. Hope you got your water, your tea, your coffee, your latte, whatever you drinking. Paul Labana said, then he brings the ball up like he walking in the sand. Yeah. 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 Sometimes it's like he's just dribbling the air out the ball. As Queen likes to say, it's too much dribbling.
Dribbling the air.
We have that issue with quickly. We don't want to, it's triggering for us. A lot of us don't forget old players that we had. And when we see some of the things that's reminiscent, we get triggered. Ajay Salute said Hart can say whatever he wants about the minute police, but the fresh legs clearly helped produce a W last night. Agreed.
For sure.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. Because when you're playing those 40 plus minutes a night, after a while you like, y'all, it's just like if you had a job, you like, yo, I need a day off. I'm tired. A day or two off, actually. So for sure, that rest helped the Knicks out tremendously. Absolutely helped them out. So, you know, how things go. On the trade talk and rumors, this has been long awaited. So, you know, I wanted to get on this topic. As we all know, the Knicks are sitting third in the Eastern Conference right now. However, this team is undoubtedly needs some extra depth at the center position, as we all been talking about. We need another body down there to help with the center position. I think another conversation for another day is, when you get the center, do you have to have them trade off minutes with Towns, or where they both kind of do like what Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson did last year and they sub in for each other? Or do you have Towns move to the power forward and then have a center? Whole nother conversation for a different day, but keep that in the back of your mind. As such, Mitchell Robinson could find himself emerging as a potential trade option ahead of the February 6th deadline. Word on the street is that Tom Thibodeau would prefer to keep Mitchell Robinson in New York. The veteran head coach is reportedly interested in experimenting with double big lineups that would see Robinson and Towns share the court together. As we all know, Mitchell Robinson is owed $14.32 million this season and $12.95 next season. Precious Achiuwa is on an expiring $6 million deal. And if you're combining both of those salaries, that will give the Knicks a chance to theoretically acquire another player in the $20 million range if there's a fit. But the Knicks believe Robinson can help anchor their interior defense when he returns and can play alongside Towns, who will slide over to the power forward. So this seems like what the Knicks want to do, right? Now, I did see, a shout out to Knicks Muse. I took a screenshot of it. I should have put it up so I could have showed y'all on the screen, but I had to reboot my whole computer, so I don't have time for that. Mitchell Robinson was on X basically saying that he don't care if he get traded.
Oh.
That's what he said. Someone commented under his post and said something to the degree of like, it looks like you're getting out of there. He said, I don't care. And I know he was saying he don't care about what that person was writing or that person wrote that. He was basically saying, I don't care. With confidence, it seems like Mitch knows, I'm gonna get on some team somewhere. But it just seems like Mitch is still not ready yet to return. David Bertzberger of SNY presented a recent trade proposal, which the Knicks would flip Robinson as part of a 3-team deal. In his hypothetical trade, it would include Kevin Looney and Kyle Anderson both heading to New York. Basically, the trade will look like this. The Knicks would receive Kevin Looney and Kyle Anderson. Golden State Warriors would receive Nikola Vucevic. And Chicago Bulls will receive Mitchell Robinson, Jericho Sims, and Gary Payton II. Würzburg reasoned that Looney is a dependable 5 who does all the little things that would open up the doors for this team: screening, boxing out, and rebounding. And as for Anderson, he said Anderson has been in and out of the rotation, but is a veteran wing who can impact the game in a variety of ways. Looney has played 38 games so far for the Warriors this season. He's averaging 5.1 points, 6.9 rebounds, 1.8 assists while shooting 52% from the field. He's comfortable coming off the bench or working as part of a second unit. His 6'9" size would allow Tibbs to experiment with some big small lineups if the Knicks wanted to play at a higher tempo. Looney's a 2-time NBA champion. He will provide the Knicks with a high-level backup center. He's a great rebounder on both sides of the floor and can generate significant separation for the Knicks when setting screens for shooters. So, they're thinking he would undoubtedly shore up what is a weak center rotation for the Knicks. Would Looney work for the Knicks? Would that make sense?
It does, but a part of me, and a part of me would like to see Mitch stay because I would like to see a healthy Mitch and see what he can do with playing alongside Cat, because we see what the impact Cat has had, and just if he move over, because either way, if they get a center, you know, well, not either way, but if they get a center, you know, will they still keep him at the 5 and just have somebody come off the bench?
Right.
Oh, and then you wonder, well, when Mitch come back, yeah, he's not going to start right away, but eventually, you know, Tibbs probably will start him because, like he said, he would like to see the experiment with that big. We know what Tibbs know what Mitch is going to give him. You know, if the new guy come, now like the trust thing with Tibbs. So it's like you're starting all over. So that. I mean, yeah, he would work, but I would because I know what Mitch brought to the team. You know, last season, just offensively and defensively. I would like to see what type of impact he can have before they go shipping him off. But now on the flip side, the injury, he's injury prone. So and what, God forbid if he gets injured again. Now so it's a lot of variables to that. But I would like to see Mitch stay and see what he can do playing alongside Cat.
Yeah, I agree. I want to just see Mitch stay. Let's hold on to him. Let's see how he plays with Towns. And then I think at the end of the season, then you assess and figure out, do you continue on with Mitch or do you look to do a trade? Clearly, the front office, Leon and the gang, has figured out a way to make trades happen in the off season. But I think if the Knicks get rid of him, you never know what he'll be able to do with
Yeah,
this current roster if you get rid of him. So I think keep him around because at the end of the day, listen, if Mitch doesn't come back till April, at least you'll have him and he'll start to get seasoned up and prepped up for the playoffs. So you're gonna need him, you know.
because they're doing fine. They're in third, and they seem to they're holding on to that spot. And like I always say, teams, we always know this is about runs. Look at Cleveland. They lost 3 in a row. So a team could run into a wall in that rough patch, and they start losing. And now this gives you the opportunity to creep up. Not that you want to be number 1 seed, but
Right.
if you could stay within that 3rd seed, then you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. I think that like I said, I don't want to see the Knicks give up Mitchell Robinson just yet. I want to be able to see what he can do and the impact that he can make. And I want to see that him playing alongside Towns, and then kind of what we saw last year with Isaiah Hartenstein coming in. He go to the bench. Then we saw Mitchell Robinson come in. That worked really well for the Knicks.
Yeah.
So I just don't think it would be smart to get rid of Mitch this soon, this early. I'm not sure necessarily about the Knicks, that prospective trade aspect that David Bertzberg from SNY presented, where the Knicks get Kevin Looney and Kyle Anderson. I'm not really sure about that. Um, and then I also don't know if trading Mitchell Robinson and Jericho Sims is enough that a team will want both of them. I feel like they're going to want, I don't know, they may want Shamit, they may want Deuce, they may want someone else, because I feel like getting two centers is going to be like, or they're going to want some heavy, deep trade picks that the Knicks have. And the Knicks seem to get cornered into that. I've said this numerous times. So, yeah, I'm not sure about that. And like I said, I think that the options for center is very limited. And I don't want the Knicks just taking anybody.
Yeah.
Because for all that, then you might as well keep Jericho Sims. You might keep Jericho Sims.
Well, but you gotta. They also looking to shop him around as well, because they trying to. I think it's just trying to find a good fit for him. Um, because I guess they realize it's just not working. It's like we got time to but they also trying to get rid of him. But my thing is like, well, who's gonna be that scapegoat along with him? Will it be somebody like a Deuce? Um, you don't know.
Yeah. Paula Bonner said, I would love to see that him and Cat together. We need height. Mitch gives you that plus other things. Let's hope he's at full strength. Yeah, he'll get there to full strength. I just think that I don't want to rush him back because we don't need him. He's very fragile. So I don't want to rush him back. I'd rather him come back when he gets back and then allow him to get back into the flow of things, as well. He says Scooter said keep Mitch. I heard him. That's what Choke Low just said. He said the dog, but that's the dog's name, Scooter. He said, keep Mitch. I heard him. Yeah. Yeah, I right now I'm team keep Mitchell Robinson. Let's not make any crazy, hasty moves.
Yeah.
And I think also because going back to what you said with the trust factor, if you bring in another guy who they don't know, and you hit the nail on the head, Tibbs knows what Mitchell Robinson could give this team. So he'll rather play him and put him in the game. Not only that, I talked about this before. I get that this Knicks team, the front office is like doing what they need to do, like testing out waters. They're testing out players, testing out different roster scenarios, and they're doing everything in their power to keep making this team better, the roster stronger, so that they are true contenders and can get, better each season. But I think the other side of that is when you do that, you have to kind of take a few steps back to rebuild that trust and chemistry when you add in new pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing, when it comes to that I always think about,
Yeah.
you
Same.
know.
Yeah. And then it's like, even if now if he do trade him, Cat's gonna probably stay at the 5 anyway.
Right.
So I'm just like running back, and let's see what they can do with Mitch. I mean, that's how I see it.
Yeah, I agree. So Knicks mid-season, we're pretty much here now. What are your overall like feelings towards where this Knicks team is as far as their record? They're sitting at third. Looking at them offensively, defensively, are you what are your thoughts, your feelings on where this Knicks team they're sitting at and how they've done so far at this first half of the season?
Well, I'm definitely happy because they're at the third. They're the number 3 seed. Um, my only issue, they lost games that They to two teams that they should have beaten. Um, but just overall, I'm satisfied with where they're at. I guess because they're at third, um, they could have a little bit more wins under their belt.
Hmm.
Because like I said, they lost, to teams that, like you kidding me? Um, but
When you say a couple of more wins, though, like, okay, where do you feel like how many? Like the Knicks are 30-16. So do you
well,
feel like the Knicks should be like 35 and?
I would definitely say 34 and 12 because they lost to Detroit, they
Yeah.
lost to Atlanta. Um, I'm not gonna say even a top tier team. You still got to beat them regardless. I don't care. What's their record, how they how much defense they play, and how good the defense, a defensive team that they are. Um, they still should have the game that they just lost just recently to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I would say 34-12. They but overall, I'm happy with where they're at because they're the third seed, and they're right up on Boston's tail, and they're creeping up on Cleveland. So if they could just maintain that, because this is where the test is coming in. Where they like I said, outside of Phoenix, they have like the second toughest schedule. You know, the mid season. It's this second half of the season. So if they could just play up and beat those 600 teams, the teams that above 6 and 7, then we could see where they're going, you know, and the potential of what they can be.
Yeah. I think the Knicks for me, like they're 30-16. I agree. I would like to have see the Knicks maybe be more at like, I don't know, 35-11, wins, because I agree there have been some games that the Knicks have lost that they shouldn't have lost to, teams that they shouldn't have lost to, Atlanta being one of them, Detroit being another one, OKC, we lost to Orlando, Chicago twice. That can't happen. So yeah, I think that, you round up a couple of those wins, the Knicks should be at least at 35 wins. Again, I'm not going to beat them up, but I think for the Knicks to be, well over 600, they went on that 9-game win streak. I wasn't really phased by that 9-game win streak because we've seen the Knicks do that last year. And then they had a bit of a rough patch, but I think overall, I'm happy at where this team is sitting at third. I just don't want them to get comfortable. Offensively, I like what I see individually from teams. I do want to see a little bit more consistency as far as with OG and Mikel. Sometimes OG, he's had a couple of games where you only getting 7-10 points from him, and then some nights you get 17-20 points, and then you have nights like yesterday where he can go off and give you 33. So sometimes he's a little up and down, and same thing with Mikel. And then I think yesterday was a rare time where we had the both of them be able to give you, great effort offensively and really contribute offensively. So I would like to see more of that. But I like that trajectory of where it seems like this team is going, is that they seem to be gelling and becoming better as a unit together. So that's nice to see as well. But the defense definitely has to pick up. I think that the Knicks, I'm not sure, with the Knicks not being stronger defensively, I'm not sure how far that can take them, because a lot of fans tend to have this thing where they think that once Mitchell Robinson comes back, he's going to be like a huge help, which he is. I'm not taking away from that, but I don't think that Mitch can be the Incredible Hulk and be everywhere on the floor for this team. Sure, he can help out in the paint. He's a huge, huge defensive presence in the paint. And he's like, this aggressive stance that he has that it makes players think twice about just dunking in and going for a layup. He's great at rebounding, blocking, but I don't think that that's the end all be all, because at the end of the day, and I keep saying this, Mitchell Robinson's one player. You still need the other four guys to have his back on defense and be able to contribute. So I don't know if that's going to be enough when you get to that first round, that second round. And I think that also, at some point, okay, you get Mitchell Robinson back, you get into the playoffs. If you already know Tibbs is the kind of coach he's going to play you a ton of minutes, then you have to be prepared to be able to run in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And be able to withstand those minutes and be able to contend and figure out a way to finish teams and get past them to get past that second round. But I think with a healthy Knicks team, I'm not sure if it's enough for them to get past the second round when you don't have good defense. Because also, and I said this before, after All-Star, you don't know what teams, kind of piggybacking off of what you just said a couple of minutes ago, you don't know what teams are going to go on a run. You don't know what teams are going to lose a couple of games. That's going to shift. The standings are definitely going to shift, but I think it's key and it's so important that the Knicks do not slip past fourth. You do not want to get to fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. You don't want to go there. You need to stay within that third, maybe fourth if you slip there. And then even still, I think you don't know where the Knicks or how the Knicks are going to be able to contend against your Clevelands. And I know you already said this before where you feel like the Knicks could take Cleveland. I beg to differ a little bit. I think every team is beatable, and the Knicks certainly do have Cleveland's number. And granted, Cleveland hasn't played us with Mitchell Robinson, but I think you got to look at the overall play and how they play. And I said this before, Cleveland seems to have figured out the formula like Boston, like OKC, where they figured out how to beat teams, and hell, even Houston, who we're going to be playing very soon. So, they're a young team and they're getting better, they're growing. And same thing with Orlando, who's another team that the Knicks have trouble with. So I just think that when you get to the playoffs, if you don't know how to figure out how to beat team, hell, forget the playoffs. If you can't do it in the regular season, that's a problem. If you can't beat Boston, you can't beat OKC, you can't beat Dallas. You got to figure out how to beat Houston, Cleveland. If you can't figure out how to beat those teams, then how the hell you gonna do it in the playoffs? So go ahead.
No, but I think with a healthy Mitch, I think that this outcome is going to be a whole lot different. With a healthy Mitch, and that's why I would like for Mitch to just ride it out, because you can't you know keep rebuilding and expecting to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, because like you said, most teams have been together for 2 year or more. So, and that's why they gel. Like, or rather, it don't take them long to gel because they played with this guy last season, the season before that. So it's like you can't, keep changing the roster, expecting, this guy to be the end all be all or that missing piece. You got to see how it's going to play out. So I think if they were to keep Mitch, because we know what he can do, a healthy Mitch, I think we you can contend with your Celtics and with your Cavaliers and even our OKC team. I think because these are the ones that you want to beat, and these are the ones that you're going to have to go through to
Right.
get there to the Eastern Conference Finals. Because I said it last year, and I wish I could pull up that tape. All roads leads through Boston. For the finals, I said it last year, and do I believe it this year? I'm not so certain. This year as far as the East, uh, right now I would say Cleveland, maybe because they have the better team and these guys they found the secret formula. They bought into the system and acting. Their coach got them like clicking. So I think with a healthy Mitch, and I can say that now. I could switch that and say it could run through the Knicks. I'm just being optimistic, you know.
Mhm.
And we saw what Mitch did with Cleveland last you know. So I don't know. I think he can definitely, you know, it is one of the missing links to that puzzle. So I would, that's why I would like to see him, you know, stay and they could just run it back with him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just hope that the Knicks will be able to not just contend, but get stops against those teams because that's what it's going to boil down to. Like, we know the Knicks could shoot the lights out and they could score, but if you can't stop those other teams and guard them one on one, I'm not sure. Um, King Santis 718 salute said, salute to you, you and your moms. Two things. He said Mitch was responding to a child on X. Very true. The trolls are always on social media. He said, and number two, the only reason that Mitch is hurt for so long is because of Embiid. Loyalty to Mitch for what he brings.
Yeah, that's why I want to see Mitch come back, because it's like if you bring somebody thinking that they're going to be the end or be on their answer, that's, I don't think that's going to work. You know, let Mitch running back and let Thibs, you know, run that big lineup that he's dreaming about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I hope we get Mitch back the sooner the better. Like I said, I'm not rushing him to come back. We need him to be back healthy as healthy as possible. Humberto de la Hoy said, Mitch is a playoff proven defensive monster. Yeah,
Yep.
he really does alter the offense of the opposing team for sure. Because Mitch is such a defensive, he's such an aggressive defensive monster, as you say, that it really alters what teams want to do. And when you're playing against your Indianas and you got your Turners and other bigs, you know, down there, I mean, if you can have the twin towers of Mitchell Robinson and Carl Anthony Towns, that's going to make a hell of a presence, along with if you have guys like your OGs, and then you have, you know, Brunson and Mikel and Josh who can make sure, and Josh is going to get in that paint and get the rebound. So, you know, with this team being healthy, I think, and then having Mitchell Robinson back, I do think that they definitely will be better. But I still stand on what I say in that Mitchell Robinson is one player. He's one guy. He's gonna do his job. I'm not questioning. I know what Mitch can do. He's gonna do his job. But then you need the other guys. If Mitch on gave you a second, third chance opportunity and you can't even grab a rebound or a tip out, that's a problem.
Or if you don't score on those second and third opportunity,
Right.
that's a problem.
Wait, and you wasting his time because he did all of that work for what? You tiring him out. He's tapping the ball out. You can't knock down the shot, or you're settling for the shot and knowing damn well it's an off night for you. Drive. And this is that's the other part of it too. I think aside from like defensively and the Knicks being able to get past those more challenging teams in the league, I think it's also the basketball IQ that has to shift with the Knicks, and not just in the playoffs, but in the second half of the season. Like if you're having an off night collectively as a team, at some point, when do you say, okay, well, let me just try to bring it in a little bit, make it in, get the ball in the basket a little closer, and then once I see it going through, then I'll try another three again. Well, if that's not working, let me try to drive to the basket. So I think that like, you know, the basketball IQ has to be there. The basketball smarts has to step up. Stop running into a wall and doing the same thing and it's not working. So, you know, this team is starting to gel. Everyone needs to calm down. Well, here's the thing, and I said this before. This happened to the Knicks last year. It took time for them to gel. And it does take time for teams to be able to, until this Knicks team and they find a roster where they keep them for a solid 2-3 years, it's going to always take the Knicks time to gel. Because I said this a few minutes ago, if after every season, if the front office decides we need to switch one or two pieces to bring in another two pieces, now it puts the team as a whole two, three steps behind. And now it's going to take them time to re-gel again for the next season. So this is what we've been running into for the past, two, three seasons where the Knicks have to take time to re-gel and regroup and refine their footing and rhythm as a team because we've lost Isaiah Hartenstein. You don't have Randall. So now you got to try to, figure out how to get this new unit to, and the Knicks are getting there. This roster is getting there, but then it makes you wonder, are we going to have to worry about that again at the end of the season? Because I'm sure the front office is going to make some moves. There's pressure on this Knicks team also. They want them to do better than they did last year, have a better regular season record, and they're looking for them to get out of the second round because this Knicks team has proven that they can make it to the playoffs, and they've proven that they can make it at least to the second round. So, we'll see. Yeah, Embiid is definitely getting his karma. This team is doing horrible.
And he's been out.
Yeah, he just seems like he don't even care.
Well, last
Just
time you saw
terrible.
him.
Salute Sterling Smith. He says salute Lady and Chef and Diva Locks. Salute, salute, salute. Okay, let's talk about our predictions. As we always do, we usually end off our show with our predictions for this week, for this week's games. So the Knicks do play tomorrow. They play Memphis at 7:30 at home. Then they play on Wednesday against Denver. That's also at home. And then they have a little break because they play again on Saturday against LA, also at home. And then they play Houston the next Monday. So we're not going to talk about Houston. We'll do our predictions for the next three games. So again, they have Memphis tomorrow, Denver on Wednesday, and then they have the Lakers on Saturday. Your predictions for those next three games?
I'm definitely 3-0.
Wow.
What and only team that I would say that's going to give them the most problems is Memphis, because Memphis reminds me they're up and coming. They're not up and coming, but they remind me like a baby OKC type of team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
These guys are young. They
Very high energy, high pace.
exactly.
Yeah.
Desmond Bain. He likes to camp out in that three. He's a big body. I think Memphis is going to give them the most problems. They're averaging. You just got to look at their average. They average like 29 assists a game. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Just the rebound. They're up there. They're a little shy of like 48. You know, offensively they average like 120, maybe 4 points a game. So they remind me again of an OKC. So you have to watch out for guys like that. We know what Ja Morant, which he was hurt, he's been out, but everybody gets better, gets healthier when it's time to come to the guard. I think they purposely rest right before they come to the Garden, because again, everybody wants to be this little Nick killer and put their stamp, on the, or at the Mecca. But but I'm still gonna go 3-0 though.
Yeah, I got them 2-1 because I'm not sure who that one loss comes from. The thing is too is that Memphis has won their last six. And
Yeah,
they just played yesterday as well.
yeah.
So they've been on a hot winning streak as well. So, and of course, every team wants to come to the Garden and win, and especially beat the Knicks because there's a lot of hate against the Knicks. Um, so you got to figure out a way to stop Ja and the rest of those guys. And then the Lakers have won. They're on a 3-game winning streak as well. So you got to figure out, they're trying to turn things around and pick it up. They're sitting at fifth in the West, and then Memphis is sitting at third. Damn near have the same record as the Knicks. So I don't know. I'm not sure because, even with Denver, I think it could go either way as far as with the Knicks go. I think the Denver game is one of those games where I feel like that's where you could utilize Mitch to help out. But
We shared Denver before. Like, yeah, they won 4 prior to losing to Minnesota. But overall, I think, and let me tell you, Cat seems to play Joker like one as a big. He plays him like great when it comes to coverage and just matching him. So he's one of those bigs that seems to, you know, Joker has the toughest time when playing against Cat. And yeah, they won like four before losing to Minnesota, but
Hmm.
I see them winning that game.
Yeah, and I do agree with the matchup against Towns and Nicola. Definitely, I think he can play him better than Mitchell Robinson because Cat can keep up with him and move his feet. You know, it doesn't just take strength to guard a player like that. You got to be able to move your feet. Whereas like Embiid is a little slower. I mean, they both don't come off of their feet much, jump off of their feet,
Yeah,
but I think that the array of moves that Nicola has under his belt versus Embiid, who has a little bit of footwork movement, but it's not to the level of what Jokic has. But yeah, I'm not sure. And the reason why I say this because I don't know if one of those games are going to be a trap game and then
yeah.
the Knicks end up letting one slip through their hands. And then it's,
Mhm.
you know, you're like, damn, how you lost to the Lakers or we was up in that game. And so
Yeah,
you really
true.
just, you don't know what's going to
Yeah.
be the true outcome. Shout out to Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises. He said, hello, ladies. Salute to the chat. Let's keep going and hit that like button. MBM, salute to you. Nice to see you here. Yeah, hit that like button. Y'all heard Tony Crow. Yeah, I'm gonna go 2-1 for my predictions just because I'm like, I don't know if one of these games are gonna be a trap game, like I said, and I don't know if the Knicks are gonna drop one. But I want to see the Knicks get back. You know, we're in that win column. I want to see them get back and stay on pace. And listen, tomorrow's game is gonna be a real true. That's gonna be a goodie. That's for sure going to be a good one to see the Knicks be able to face off against the Grizzlies, who are quick, they're fast, they're on a 6-game winning streak. Defensively, the Knicks are going to be tested. You know, so we'll see. And then, you know, facing off on Wednesday against Denver and then Saturday against LA, both are going to be really good games. So, you know, I know we'll all be tuned in. And listen, when you look at the even for next the week after, the Knicks play, they got Houston, Toronto, who we've been able to beat. Um, the only one that's really been good in Toronto is RJ, because Quickly's been battling injuries over there. But yeah, they got Houston, Toronto, Boston. Then they play Indiana, Atlanta again, Chicago again,
Yeah, and
Cleveland, Boston again, and then you play Philly, Memphis again, but it'll be in Memphis, and then they play Miami, kicking off in March. But February has some really good games that the Knicks, it's going to be an interesting month to see how the Knicks, you know, do. So, you know, we'll see. But yeah, I got them 2-1. If they go 3-0, even better. I'm here for the optimistic side that you always bring and the positivity. And yeah, I think that's it for us. You can catch us next Thursday at 7. We'll do our roundups of the Monday and Wednesday game. And then you can catch me tomorrow on the Queen's Court. I'll be on with Stephanie, aka Queen, Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises, and Jeff Clafter from Happily Ever Clafter blog. So check that out as well. And check us out. We'll be on, since the Knicks are playing tomorrow at 7:30, most likely we'll be on at 6. Always a good show on the Queen's Court. Check us out. Most of you have come from the Queen's Court over here. So salute to you all. Salute to the chat. For those of
we
you joining us, as always, showing love. If you guys haven't hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. Oh, and before we get out of here, I wanted to ask you, are you liking Unrivaled so far?
oh sure, definitely. You
It's
kidding
very
me?
entertaining.
Yep. If you haven't checked them out, check them out.
Yeah, it comes on the games are every Friday and Monday.
And
Yeah, Friday.
and
Yeah,
Tuesday.
Friday. They
Yeah.
come. They don't come on Tuesdays, do they? I thought it was just every Friday and Monday.
No, Tuesday. I think.
Yeah, look that up. But I thought it was every. I know for sure it's every Friday and Monday. It comes on True TV, TNT, and Max if you have Max. Yeah, check that out. But yeah, so far I just want to get your thoughts. I'm loving what I'm seeing on Unrivaled. It's very entertaining. I'm going for Vinyl. That's Coach Teaspoon's team, right?
Yep.
I was rooting for Phil Handy and the Miss, but it's not looking too good over there. They haven't won a game yet. So yeah, we'll see. MBM said I'm looking for the Knicks to go 3-0, standing on that. Okay, he's with Diva
Yep.
Lock.
Yep.
He said Memphis will be tough, but the Kings pace got them ready. Yeah, for sure.
So they play Friday, Saturdays, and Mondays. I knew it was they play back. I knew that it was
Oh, it's
Friday.
Saturdays too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so I'll be checking out tomorrow's games as well. I'll be flipping back and forth
Oh yeah.
between because they play at 7:30. So, and then I think the second game is at 8:30. So I'll be watching that while I'm watching the Knicks. Um, but yeah, shout out to everybody for joining us again. Hope everybody have a great week, and we'll see you all. I'll see you all tomorrow, and then we'll see you all again on Thursday. Until next time, everybody.